Hey, hello everybody. Looks like we're getting a slow start here to kicking it off, and but that's okay. I kind of counted on that. This is my first live stream, so we wanted to get things started with kind of a little bit of a planned schedule here. But I will obviously take any type of questions from anyone who logs in, if anybody does log in, and we'll go from there. Um, we'll just get started off, kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Is the my initial content is going to be based around taking care of my RV and the solar system involved around the RV. And so we've all been there, out in the middle of nowhere, looking for some power and nowhere to plug in. Stop at a rest stop, you just want to spend the evening and go out the next morning, but you don't got any electricity. Or you want to go boondock out in the middle of the woods, and hey, we got somebody logging in. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. Welcome to the, you are my first one to my live stream. So hopefully, glad to have you. I'm just kind of giving an overview about the plans today, kind of going through the RV system and how we can get going with it, and how a lot of people are looking to get solar installed in their RV. Make sure that you stop at a rest stop. There is nothing better than having full power, being able to turn on a coffee pot, make a pot of coffee, throw it in a thermos, bring it back into your truck and keep on traveling. There's also nothing like stopping off at an RV park at late at night and not having to worry about if you have your power hooked up or not. I just pull in, open the slides and go to bed, turn on the air conditioners. Half the time the air conditioners are already running when I pull over because I've stopped at the rest stop before and turned them on. So I encourage everyone, we are taking questions all night. So if you do have questions, feel free to type them in on the chat and I will make sure that I get to them as quickly as possible. And I've got some wonderful help here tonight, making sure that I stay on things. So if I forget something or miss something, feel free to let me know. And I'm going to start without any questions immediately. I'm going to start off just by kind of giving you an idea of where I got my start from and where I got involved with solar. It really came upon me last year when we were doing a fair. It was the Space Coast State Fair, I believe it was. And we went to this fair and we were completely unprepared. The power there was way unreliable. It was cutting off and cutting on. And welcome to the new viewers. I see there's 4 of you online now. And I'm encouraging, if you at any time have questions, please feel free to ask them. Just proceed them with a QQQ and I'll make sure that they come in and they all get answered. I'm just kind of going through a background history of where I got my start, and at any time, any questions about any of the content we've got going on, you're welcome to ask them. So I was at a fair, and this fair was, had all kinds of rides and stuff, and we would show up every night, and we would serve a bunch of coffee drinks. It was outside, believe it or not. We didn't even have a food truck at that point. But I quickly learned that if you're doing events like this or you're going places like this, that electricity is key to success. And we wanted to travel and make sure that we could get to each of the events and have fresh coffee in the morning. And without the electricity on, we would lose our freezers, our refrigerators, all that kind of stuff. So we learned a few really important things on that lesson. One, we didn't want to have our power going off. So solar system was absolutely necessary. It was mandatory for us, and we didn't want to have the power overnight cutting off when we weren't there. So that also made it very necessary. So I had a tendency to obsess about things when they go wrong. So what I did in this case is I figured out a way not only to get us a food trailer, but to make sure that we could be close by, and that's where the RV comes in. And that's what we're here to actually talk about is the RV, but this really led to it. And that RV is a fifth wheel. It's a rather large RV. And I think I've got some images for you I might be able to show you here. Let me see if oh, here's one. So the RV is a fifth wheel. This is from the location where I originally purchased it. And it was basically just a stripped down unit. They had a couple of the nice things with the awnings and covers on it. So I bought it used, and it's kind of a funny story. When I originally bought it, we had gone out shopping. We knew we wanted an RV from that day forward at that state fair when we showed up the next day and the power was out. And, we're kind of devastated. We've lost all of our ice. We've got to go out and get ice. And we're running around like mad trying to get all the things ready basically to operate the next day. We knew right then and there we wanted an RV. We wanted that RV to have solar so we didn't have to worry about this ever happening again. And so we went out looking for an RV while I built a food trailer. Now, I don't think I have any pictures of the food trailer with me. I'm kind of sorry, I'm kind of throwing a lot of this together here. So it's my first stream, what do you call it, live stream. So feel free to ask questions if you have them. Just ask them in the chat box and I'll make sure I get to them. But the live stream, the RV that we purchased that you see on the screen here, it was basically purchased so that we could travel with it. And when we got there, we wanted to be able to just turn things on and not have to worry about it. So this is what we did. I immediately started shopping for an RV so we could go out, we could travel, we could take a look at all the different locations. We love doing fairs. We love doing other events in our coffee shop, which is where I am located today. I am in our coffee shop in downtown Cocoa Beach. We are directly across the street from Ron John's, and 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week, my wife runs the coffee shop. So if you're in town, you're on vacation, you're taking a cruise or whatnot, please, I encourage you to stop by and say hi to her and tell her you saw her husband on YouTube. So we didn't want to stay in hotels. We didn't want to be dependent upon the power going out and not being able to open up the next day. So that's why we bought the RV. How I equipped the RV is another story. So the first thing I did is I went out and we found the equipment that I was going to use for it. So I did a ton of homework. I investigated different companies that were selling solar equipment. I investigated having companies install it, and none of them really met my need. I like to do things myself, and obviously most of you probably do too. So what I did is I basically said, what do I need to do to operate my RV in an environment where I could be traveling like this? The first thing I needed to do was find out about the power usage. So I built myself a 240 volt, and if you watch the channel, you've probably seen the video I made on it. I built myself a 240 volt NEMA 1450 plugged right in where the RV was plugged in, and that allowed me to monitor everything. And to my astonishment, the RV used about 50 to 60 kilowatts a day. Now, I have to say, I say that with a little bit of shakiness, simply because it was all air conditioner. I live in Florida. As you don't know, as you can tell, like I said before, I'm on Cocoa Beach, and I live in Florida. It gets hot here. It was 95 degrees today. And with the 95 degrees, it was extremely humid, probably 75%. So I had to, first of all, find a system that was going to be able to support all of that. Now, smaller systems We'll go over a smaller one next week that I use in the food trailer. It's a 24 volt, 200 amp hour, you know, a couple of 370 panels on it. That's a really good setup for a lot of smaller people, a lot of smaller setups and small van lives and smaller RVs that you can get by when you're not really wanting to run air conditioner. I wanted to run full stream, full on AC all the time. I didn't want to change my life to accommodate what the solar was going to do. Not to mention, yeah, my wife probably wouldn't have, she would have said, yeah, we can just take it and go live in RV parks. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go from RV park to RV park. I want that freedom. And now that I've done it, and now that she's done it, I could safely say we're both very pleased with it. We never have to pay for electricity in that. So I ended up buying 10 Atmos 370 watt bifacial panels. Now, I bought the bifacials not because I wanted the bifacial to go with it. I bought the bifacials because because the price of them was $101 a piece. And at that point, $101 was a pretty darn good price, and they had fantastic reviews. I was reading about the reviews basically everywhere, and they were just fantastic. So now, I also needed to buy, and I had looked at the RV, and I had taken the panel apart, and in that panel, I think I probably got some videos on that. Let me see if I can find them while I explain this to you. So in that panel, I was looking for basically the what kind of electricity I needed. I found out I needed 50 amp. Not only was the outside plug 50 amps, but as you know, sometimes they only use one of the phases in the 50 amps. This one was a true 50 amp plug where it was running split phase. It wasn't using any of the 220 devices. It was only using 110 split phase L1 and 110 split phase L2. And but the breakers were set there, and they were fairly well balanced. One air conditioner ran on one air conditioner ran on the other, refrigerator ran on one, hot water heater ran on the other. So they had them fairly well balanced and split up and everything. So I decided that I needed about 3,000 watts to safely run everything. Now, the one important aspect here to remember is I immediately said 50 kilowatts is too much. There's no way I'm going to run my RV with 50 kilowatts. So I decided that I was going to replace all the air conditioning units on the roof. And the air conditioning units on the roof, for those of you who have an RV or have ever been in an RV when they are on, they sound like a jet airplane is landing on the top of your RV. They cycle off, and they don't cycle off and on. They basically run full steam the entire time, and they're miserable when it comes to that. So what I did is I installed mini splits instead. I installed mini splits. I bought a 6000 XP inverter, which is a split phase inverter for the solar system. I bought 3 LiFePod batteries, LiFePO₄ from EG4 batteries, and I think I've got some audio, I've got some video for some of this. Let me just play a little of that for you. So this is the battery system. Let's see if I can get this to fade in. There we go. So this is the battery system that I initially bought. They're LiFePO₄ from EG4. I did use 1/0 wire on them to run them in. I did have some crazy stories about buying cables where I bought some stereo cables and I didn't like them, and then I bought some more cable of the right size and I didn't like it. Anyway, I can tell you, if you're going to go with buying cables for your system, make sure that you get the marine grade wire, and it's a lot more expensive, but it also can handle higher temperatures. I used tinned wire, whereas I had bought some copper clad, and that basically means that it's aluminum wire, and it's cladded with copper around the edges instead of copper wire with tin surrounding the wires. It was a complete and utter disaster. I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars buying wire that I didn't need. And at each time I did this, it was, you know, another 50 foot of this and another 50 foot of that. And I'm hoping that my wife's not watching and hearing that. But the batteries that I bought, that was the batteries that I bought. Then in the RV itself, I installed the solar system. Now that was a little bit different. I have enhanced that quite a bit since then. If any of y'all are familiar with any of the solar shed videos that I've done. And if you have questions, please feel free at any time to put them in chat. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I don't want this to just be me talking all the time. If you're sitting there and you have questions, just type them in. I'll be glad to take care of them. But I did install the rest of this system, and I enhanced it a little bit with, as you can see here, a DIY 304 amp battery. This gave me basically 31 kilowatts of power in my RV. I used a JK BMS for this with 200 amp, and it's got a nice fuse and everything that goes with it, T-class fuse and an off-on switch, and basically I connected this directly to, you'll see when it comes up here in a few minutes, as this video rolls around, you'll see that these connect to the, oh, you know what, that's just the battery. Let me see if I can find you guys the video where I have the whole system, because that would be a whole lot better to watch than that one there. But either way, I'm going to put the design here that I went through as opposed to the battery. So this was the original design that I came up with for the system. And pretty much to today, as you can see here, I started by saying I was going to have 12 panels on the roof. I couldn't fit 12. I got I couldn't fit 12, so I ended up with 8. And I ended up with 8, and then after I got done, I didn't like the power output. So I went up and I moved things around, and I trimmed some things off, and I ended up I did end up fitting 10 of them up there. Now, as you can see from that feeds into the 3 EG4 batteries that I've got here. I don't have the DIY battery on here because my original design really didn't include it, but I pretty much lived up to this. Now, I don't know what we're all interested in as far as taking a look at. I've got stats I can show you. I can take you out and review those if anyone's interested in any of that. So I did basically that. Phase 2, really phase 2, what I've considered, this was really phase 1 where I put the 10 solar panels up there. I got the 600 XP. I routed the 600 XP inline so that the 50 amp coming from shore power basically was the grid input to the 6000 XP. And then from there, I routed that to some bus bars and connected that to the inverter. So it's all worked pretty well, but I did end up adding a solar assistant, which was a really good addition. It allowed me to connect the to log in when I'm offline and get to you were going to buy EG4 batteries. Let's just see if I can get this up on the screen here for you real quick. Yeah, let's see if I can. Just we're going to go ahead and cue that last message up onto the screen. Let me just see here. I don't know that I got the right one running here, so let me just see if I can get it here real quick. Okay. Yeah, let me see. My messaging system isn't working right, so I'm going to try to relaunch it and see if I can get those messages up on the screen. Yeah, that would be a better idea. If I could actually see them correctly, wouldn't it? All right. See if I can connect here. Yeah, show those online. Nice. All right. I don't know if that is working yet. I want to see if you guys can see me typing. I was going to buy the EG4 batteries, but found that I found the batteries with the free screen and lifetime BMS warranty, expert power for $1,000 at my door. Yes, you're talking about the other, not the LiFePO₄, but the actual, what are the second batteries that they have? They had another set of batteries that was just above it that has the screen in them, and did they come out on sale actually for that price? That's a really good price, $1,000. I don't remember. See if I can get to Signature Solar and just take a look at it. So they had the let me see. They have quite a few different EG4 batteries out, but those two were the big ones, and $1,000 for them delivered to your door is a really good price, because I think at the time that I was doing it, they were running around. And thanks for the confirmation. You can see what I'm typing. I'm having problems with my screen being able to update the messages coming from you guys, but that's no problem. I'll just read them off it's not so busy tonight that I can't just read them off the screen. I bought the three EG4 batteries at, I think they were $12.99 a piece. I mean, it's about $4,000 worth of batteries when it all came down to it. It was pretty a pretty good deal. I don't have too much trouble with them. The DIY battery now, yes, and I've had mine for 8 months now, and mine cycle every day full time, and I've had absolutely no problem. Signature Solar doesn't sell EG4 batteries? You must not be talking about you must be talking about some other brand then, because there are quite a few. The EG4 batteries, Signature Solar is one of their major resellers, I'm pretty sure, isn't it? So, let's see, EG4 line, all brands. Let me just make sure I'm not crazy. Yeah, they sell them. EG4, let's see if I can, let me just see if I can bring this up and we can discuss that. So, yeah, so anyway, they do have them. They do have them. I don't know. I've got on their site, they've got the rack battery kit, which comes with I don't remember the name of those. It's not the LiFePO₄. Yeah, LiFePO₄ are the ones that I have. They do have the upgraded one that comes with the screen, though. I opted for not getting the one with the screen. I often wonder if that was a mistake, if I should have got the one with the screen, as it was LiFePO₄, which is one. Here it is, the LL battery. So the EG4 LL, I think that's the one you're talking about, is the EG4 LL. And I believe Signature Solar, if I'm not wrong, is actually owned by EG4. I think it's the same parent owner that has them both. So Expert Power is a different company there in California. Yes, Expert Power. So I know that they are resold all over the place, unless those are not EG4 batteries. So if they're EG4, the LL does have a screen, and there's a lot of them out now. I mean, they were really hard to come by when they first came out. Now they're a dime a dozen, really. You can find the DIY versions. You can find the eco-worthy. Yes, there you go. The eco-worthy batteries will be arriving tomorrow. Those eco-worthy batteries have got some really good reviews too. I haven't personally gotten any of them. I did the DIY version of the EG4 batteries. It was kind of this one here, and I did 304 amp hours on this one. Whoops, turn that noise off. I did 304 amp hours on this one, but this cost about $1,200. Now, I did have to wait 2 and 3 months for it to come from China. It took a long time for them to get here from China, and I watched them in a boat every day, and then when they got here, I did have to assemble it and everything. I think I have to cover off here, but they really were good. Yes, it did save a lot of money, but those ones you're talking about, those ones from California, are they EG4 batteries, or are they different? The eco-worthy obviously are not EG4, but is that the ones you're talking about coming from California? Is the eco-worthy ones? Because those are the ones that. Now let's see. That basically was the battery system and everything, and it basically was truly. I'm going to see if I can find here the batteries in bay DIY RV. I've got a full-length video of my bay that I really wanted to show you guys and let that one run. So I'm going to see if I can get it here real quick. Get it configured. I see you guys are talking amongst yourself. That's good. Just keep that up. That's great conversation. And the eco-worthy batteries, you're absolutely right. Those are really, really good batteries. It looks like, at least it looks like from the reviews that I've seen. And I think I've got, here we go. Let's see if I can find this one here. There we go. Here's the bay battery. Let me see if I can see if I can find the right one for you. There we go. And this might be it. I don't know. We'll just all right, so here is the RV bay. Which charge inverter did you go with? The eco-worthy is coming out at the end of the month and probably going with that one. Now, I did the charge inverter from EG4 also. I wanted to be able to have the 50 amp plug directly into the system, and that was why I chose to do that one. It wasn't the only option. There's a lot of different chargers out there, but it did do the 240 and the 110, which was kind of nice. It allowed me to do the whole, to have the whole, all the different options and everything along with them. So that was why I picked it, but that was, by long shot, was not the only option that was there. I'm trying to find these videos. I don't know why I missed them, how I missed them. So, I see you guys are still chatting. Let's see what we got. Which charge inverter did you go with? Okay, then. No, they are a different company. The brand name is Expert Power 100 amp server rack batteries. Saved a lot of money by going with them instead of the other companies. Yes, there are a lot of generic versions out there now that you can go with, that you can save quite a bit of money instead of going with the EG4. It's amazing how much the industry has changed in just the last year, from where it was, or where it was simply a year ago. And so, sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble finding these videos. I don't know why. I had this all set up and for some reason they're just not here. I'm trying to find the right ones. And There's supposed to be a video here where I was having all these clips set up, and for some reason, I must have erased them all. I don't know why I would have done that. But either way, the the best price that I've seen. Yes, he did. He did a really good review on it. That's where he broke them down on the inside and everything after quite a few reviews about them, and he Will can do what he does best, which is basically to take apart those batteries and make sure that they're really good. And as you can see here, the DIY one that I have is based on a lot of the things that Will states and stuff like that. He makes a lot of good videos, and I when I was getting started, I learned a lot from him. So they're EG4. They're just like the SOK batteries. Oh, okay. So yeah, and there's probably 10 different companies now that have those things out, and that's really good. They are all. They are all kind of the same thing. Now it comes down to just what kind of cells they put into them, and what kind of what the are they the Eve cells, are they the cheap cells, or are they the nice cells? Because there was a lot of Yankee ones or really cheesy ones when they first started coming out, and so I don't know how many more batteries I can fit in. I'd like to get some batteries for the solar shed and put in some stuff over there also, but I haven't been able to do that up to this point. But that'll come in time. Well, I don't know why I'm having so much hard time finding these videos here, but I know they're here. And I'm just going to take 1 second to go through these and make sure what I'm looking at isn't right. Nope, nope, and nope. Don't know where they went. They were here, but now they're gone. Anyway, let's see what we got going, what else we were talking about out there. We didn't have many options till we recently, most DIY, I think. Yeah, there was not a lot of options. And now they got those really cool DIY boxes too, where you just basically, it's a couple $100 and you just slap the cells in them and connect all the wires, and boom, you've got a 300 amp hour battery at a fraction of the cost. Because before you buy that kind of battery for what I paid $4,000 for them just less than a year ago. And now you can put cells in them. You can order the cells now. The tariffs are going to make things a little bit difficult for a while, but eventually the tariffs will hopefully go away and we'll get back to normal prices, and we'll build a 300 amp hour. And I heard the other day the new batteries coming out, the 650 amp hour cells coming out. Can you imagine we're going to have a battery? I mean, it'll be permanently located. You won't be able to move it around like we do everything else, but it basically is going to be a 600 amp hour battery. It'll be twice the size that I have here. We'll have to go to the 6 amp hour balancing just to be able to keep up with them. There's no way we're going to be able to get away from that, but that ought to be entertaining. I can't wait to see the first few of those, and I don't want to be the one who gets to test them, because the testing of the 304 amp hour battery that I had was long enough. I can't even imagine that. So I see we still have a few online. Any other questions? I know that I went on to advance a little bit more into the solar shed. I took the solar shed and the 12 panels there, and another 3,000 watts of power, fed that in, and basically helped charge the battery so that when I'm parked, I can live without worrying about extra power. It's one thing to be traveling with the solar that's on the roof, but when you're living at home and when you're parked for a little bit longer, you want to have a little bit more power. So what I basically did was I took the solar shed and put another 3,000 watts of power there. Now, there was a lot of argument about whether or not I should have put all those panels on the shed or not. I should have put them out and, build a rack and everything. But when you're in an RV and you're traveling, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that what is on your shirt? Well, that's a Star Wars shirt, of course. Um, I'll have a different shirt every week. My wife has this fascination. I do uh, a lot of training and working with large groups, and the and she's got a fascination with these shirts. I was always a plain Jane one color shirt, but she's got me some cool ones. So I've got a bunch of really cool Snoopy shirts coming in for the next couple of things too. Um, but it's yeah. What did you think it was, Leonard? It's just a real simple. I don't think there's. Let me see if I can back up here a little bit and get you a better view of it. Oh, maybe if I switch camera views here. Let's try that. Let me see which camera views I've got here that I can use. Oh, I see. That's what I did. All right. Primary. There we go. That gives you a better view. So you can just see it's a stormtrooper sitting on the beach, drinking. So nothing fancy, just a shirt. But can thank my wife for that one. She gives me a little bit of creativity. I don't have a whole lot. I just like to build stuff and play with solar stuff. The solid state batteries, I didn't understand what it was about, but they charge really fast. And they go from charge goes into the game chart, goes into the going to be a game changer for TV, cars, and solar. Yeah, it makes you wonder how fast they're going to be able to charge. I mean, you're talking about, doing, it was typical solar, you're only doing, zero point 0.1, zero point 0.2, sometimes zero point 0.3 Cs, but you get into a car charger and you're going to, if you could slam that stuff in at 1 or 2 Cs, that would be just fantastic. Can you imagine having a 200 amp hour battery and be able to charge it all up in 30 minutes? That would give your car, 3 times the distance and charge in a few seconds. You could actually stop at you could actually stop at a gas station, and by the time you could get into the store and back out, you could have enough gas to get on to the next one. That's going to be a real game changer. The question is what will they weigh and how much will they cost? But you know what? If you don't start, you're never going to get there. So that ought to be a lot of fun seeing how it goes. Anyway, I had a whole schedule of stuff, and we kind of went off chart here, but that's okay. That was the way it was supposed to be. It was a lot of different talk. Does anyone here know anything about the solar batteries? About the solid state batteries? I haven't heard much about them yet. I know there's a bunch of talk out there about other chemical makeups, but I haven't seen anything that even comes close to the lithium iron phosphate. Still got to keep convince the world that the lithium iron phosphate's different from the lithium ion that you have in your cell phones and in your laptops, the ones that catch on fire in airplanes. Somehow people still think those are the ones that we have, and they're very nervous and scared about it. But that's not it. But the I tell you what, I can take going back to the RV. Now with the system fully installed, we've got the 10 solar panels on the roof. We've got the 12 solar panels in the solar shed. We put out about 30 kilowatts a day. With that 30 kilowatts a day, it's pretty easy to have to have a regular life. I mean, we run practically everything off of solar at this point. There really isn't a whole lot more that could be done that we don't do already. I would like to see something in the solar shed to control the dryer. That would be a really cool one, is to get maybe a little bit bigger inverter out there and a separate battery and have that go into a separate power and then only feed that. Um, but that would be a lot of fun. Um, but I haven't really, I haven't thought about it that seriously. That would be a lot of, I don't know what size battery that would probably take, you know, a couple hundred amp hours, and could charge it for there. And then I probably could put it on, um, put it as a secondary, you know, have it charge the RV with the extra power, because you're only going to run the dryer a couple times a week. That would be kind of cool. So, um, but I don't know. I don't know where you go from there. We run everything on the solar at this point. We have, you know, espresso machines, coffee pots, the microwaves. The only time that I've really ran into any issue is I do recently, in the last 2 months, since I got the solar shed installed, I did switch to running with running all of my normal gas powered things on electric also. So I do run um, the hot water heater 100% 24/7 now with it on there, and I do run the cooktop is still, but you know how much propane do you use on that? And that puts out so much heat. But the cooktop is definitely there, so that's that. But I think that's the only thing I've really got left, and I always have it as a backup, but I'm not really using it. Um, 10 minutes for solid state? Seriously? Wow. And I'm assuming that's your typical car charging. So I guess, what is the typical size of a car charging? I mean, um, would make me wonder how long it would take. You know, what is the normal size of a car battery? Electric. Let's see. So the physical size, I guess, I'm not real familiar with it. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's giving me all kinds of answers. I didn't get the right question there, did I? An electric car. An electric car. It's giving me a 12-volt battery. Oops. There's a company already making it for cars, really? And they're lightweight? Yeah, I don't know. The so 24. So the Nissan Leaf is 24 to 48 kilowatt hours. The midsize battery is a Tesla Model 3 is 50 to 80 kilowatt hours. And the trucks are 90 to 131 kilowatt hours. So in the Model S, Tesla Model S long range is 100 kilowatt hours. So I'm wondering if that's going to also allow us to increase the distance dramatically, because if they're light and we can bring them down to a normal weight and still get, you know, a couple hundred kilowatt hours out of them, I mean, you're right, that could change that could change everything. That could change it even for RVs. I mean, can you imagine having one of those in an RV where you don't have to worry about all the extra weight? The V4 superchargers currently deliver 325 kilowatts with a potential maximum of 350 kilowatts. Some sources up to 600 kilowatts capacity, limited vehicle capacity. Yeah, that is a lot. Then it's going to become, what can we do to upgrade the infrastructure to support the electric grid? Because you start pulling in 300 kilowatts, 325 kilowatts. Wow. I'm gonna do the math on that one just to figure out how many amps we're talking about pulling off of it. 320 kilowatts divided by 240. So you're looking at 1,300 amps. Wow. and you can charge at that. But that'll be quite different. You know what'll actually change is that you won't even have a need for solar panels on the roof. You'll be able to put enough batteries in your RV that you can plug into one of those stations on the way to the park and live for, I don't know, a week without even being plugged in. That's just ridiculous. But it's cool. I mean, that's kind of game-changing technology. Could really make for an interesting future. I'm excited to hear about that. I haven't heard a whole lot about the solid-state ones. I mean, I knew they existed, but that's amazing. So thank you for bringing those to me. Those are going to be an interesting change on things. I had trouble with the lightning hitting my system several times. I'm going to have to send my charge controllers in and get them repaired. Yeah, lightning, I'm not sure there's a whole lot you can do about that. All the grounding in the world isn't going to save you. I mean, it might save you from dying, but it's not going to save your system. When the lightning hits, it's going to take it out. And it's unfortunate. Although, we can prevent a lot of the damage sometimes, but you can't prevent all the damage all the time. It's one of those things. Yeah, the mini splits. I took both of the default air conditioners completely off the roof. I took them off, I lowered them down, I patched the holes on the top, and I put solar panels back in their place. Those things are completely useless. They're loud. They're impossible to watch TV with them on. It's impossible to do basically anything. I basically just ripped them off the roof and I put 2 mini splits. I put one in the back of the RV. I took the cabinets above the back and I replaced them with the mini splits. And that was actually really, really good. They have saved, I went from using probably around 50 kilowatts was my original usage. And I dropped it down to about 10 kilowatts for air conditioning from 50. Now, keep in mind, before you tell me, hey, 50 is way too much, keep in mind you're talking about a fifth wheel. You're talking about in Florida where it's hot and humid all the time. And you're also talking about running them all night long, turned all the way down because I like to sleep with it in the low 60s. So, and yes, the 10 kilowatt comparison is taking a look at is the same as getting that. It is using the 10 kilowatt, is using the evening hours being nice and cool. So, so let's see here. Here we go. I think I found our videos. Let's just see here if I can get these to play correctly for you. I don't know what I did with all these windows. Did them though. Here we go. All right, let's see if I can get this out there.
Things still in flux.
There we go. There's a 6000
XP.
A
new DIY battery.
You can see the battery I'm taking a peek at here. And these are not the original ones I recorded for today, but they'll work. And you can see that rat's nest of wires there.
So it's a 6000.
I really have a lot of respect for you guys who spend a lot of time messing with these wires. I tied them up and cleaned them up. And here's the 2 ports that I have that feeds in. The bottom one is the grid power, and the top one runs straight to the charge inverter. The charge inverter, oh, there it is wired into the EG4.
I also have a plug for
when the batteries get low, it can flip it on. Turn on the power, turn it off to that relay box just to the right of the screen that you can see over there. There's a relay in there.
Comes into
Oh,
a
nice
relay
to
switch
move over
here.
in that direction on
If
the
I'm running it off of the charge inverter.
there's
so that it
even the
runs
relay
the
itself
generator
before I
on
put it into the
10 voltage.
box. So
And
that was
relay
actually a very
is
cool
connected to
project. I should make a
6,000
video
XP,
about it because there was a
and it
lot of
uses
I
the
used the dry contacts
contacts
to flip it
to
on and
flip it
flip it
on and
off,
flip
which
it off.
was
And
very,
there
very
is
helpful.
a relay in here that turns that power on
Those work
through the
really
main
well, and
charge
I've had
control.
a lot of
So
requests
you
for
can
that. So
just
I
leave
might
that
actually
on
turn
all the
these into
time,
some kind of
and it
video at some
basically just
point. But
kicks on whenever
you can see
it gets
those
the right
are.
voltage. As you can see, it just sits here and waits for the right time to kick on and kick off. I don't
The charge inverter
have the
also
grid
runs
plugged
both
in very
240
often
and
because I
110.
simply don't need it.
So if I'm out in the
Additionally,
middle of
I
nowhere and I
have
need some
a
power, I
couple
can
of
just have a
fans that
small
blow
generator
across
with
here
me.
when it gets
That small
starts to get warm
generator.
in here. Keep in mind, I am in
Oh, that's loud noise. Sorry about that. The small generator. The small generator, I can charge it at 110, just running it at, like 2,000 watts or a couple watts. And you can see the fans that I have placed in here that pulls that air across the front, or the 6,000 XP, and ejects it on the other side. And those are the bus bars that control after the shunt or the fuse. So there's a shunt at the bottom, and then a low power bus bar. It runs over to the Orions that basically converts into the 12-volt system. Now I do have two of the 30 amp Orions. Allows it to go from 48 volt to 12 volt. I completely and totally eliminated, 100% eliminated the 12 volt batteries from the system, and so that way I wouldn't have to mess with them. And let's see here. I'm going to slow this thing down a little bit so I can actually keep track of what's going on here. So the and so sorry about that audio I had running on the from the video. I did cut it off. I don't know why the autoplay is doing that. I'm going to have to get that set up a little differently. And sorry about all the bloopers here too. So you can see there's my my capacitor charger switch. I put a 48 volt light battery, a light bulb in here, and I run from the positive post on the back side of the on switch. And when I push that yellow button there, it actually runs straight to the positive bus bar on the active side, allowing it to basically turn to charge the capacitors and not have that spark or have any of that influx, or worse yet, blow out my T-fuse, because those things are not cheap. And then moving on down to the bottom, you can see the bottom bus bar there, and the smart shunt down in the bottom left-hand corner. And the smart shunt feeds into the bus bar on the back side of the shunt. So at the top, it feeds into a fuse. On the bottom, it feeds through the shunt. And then both of them have a secondary bus bar that feed all of the equipment on that side. So that way, and then of course you see the Victron Orion mounted up there. That basically acts as a gateway that allows me to feed all of the data in from my Victron smart controller that you see there, which is what powers the solar shed. And then and hello PJ from Spain. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And let's see what if we got any other chatting going on out here before I keep on moving on here. I keep going on with things. I'm going to let this video play. We'll just keep talking about it. Low frequency inverters I use for 48 volt DC bulbs in my lights. Yes. And autocorrect. Sorry about the. Yep, no problem. But the system here basically has served me well. I've got some wire cleanup I need to do, route some of these wires. The problem I have with wire cleanup is every time I go in there and I tie things down and I get them all cleaned up and everything, it's time to change something. So you see here, I took that bar across the top and just strapped a whole bunch of them on there. So that worked out pretty well. And that pretty much covers the RV install. I mean, we went from the internal bus bar feeding the 300 amp hour batteries from behind the wall there into the DIY battery, and it feeds into that side also. And basically, that's it for the RV. And I don't know if you guys have any other questions or anything like that that I can answer for you about the system. I know we're been here for roughly going on an hour, and I'm just keep talking and talking, and don't know if I'm answering any questions or anything. I know I had some technical difficulties with my chat feed here, so I'll look at it. Thanks for the help with the solar systems a few weeks ago. Ah, PJ, good to see you. So you went, got your solar assistant working and everything. I meant to follow up with you and find out if it was still working and all that kind of stuff. Did you got your got it feeding into your home assistant? I'm assuming that was what we were hooking up. Is that where it went? And that was a lot of fun. I was glad I was able to help you with that one. I missed your message. I saw your message earlier about Spain and didn't even dawn on me that's what you were talking about, that it was you. So glad to see you. That screen for the, you're talking about the one for the, and I'm talking to John, the off-grid garage. John, you're talking about that screen for the DIY battery. Let me just see if I've got it, if I can rewind here and get you a copy of that. But that screen came with the JK inverter. Now you can buy them separately. They do sell them independently of the inverters, and the new V19s. There it was. The new V19s have a really nice way to plug them in and have all the new equipment that you can use to plug them in too. So that's really kind of cool. I'd like to get one of those V19s and get them hooked up, but I haven't made that plunge yet. Or is that a BMS screen? No, well, it depends on which screen you're talking about. There are two screens there. The one screen that I have that you're seeing right there right now is the JK BMS screen. And then there's a second screen right there I froze it right up in the top right-hand corner. That screen is measuring it's measuring for DC power flowing to the DC side, that measures how much power runs over to the Orions for me. So I like to keep track of all the different devices. When I first did it, I was curious how much DC power the RV itself used, because it's got all the lights and everything is controlled on the RV through that DC power. So I was really curious. What I was kind of surprised is that it's extremely low. I mean, the idle usage runs at about 20 watts, and that's when I'm actually using things in the RV. And then the max I've seen. Now, with the exception of when I hit the stabilizers or the jacks or something like that. Yeah, so that's the one on top of the battery. That is the JK1, that is the JK BMS one on top of the battery. And then the one that is mounted on the wall just above that big black bar is the one that supplies power to those two Orions over there on the screen that just went by. So that is, I could probably rewind to that one. So that one here is this one. This is the JK BMS one, and it's the one sitting on top of the white battery that you see there. And then the Orions here is fed from the other side. You can see those wires running up above the inverter across the top, and they feed right there. That screen right in the middle of the screen there is just strapped onto the front of a little bitty bus bar coming off of the negative post, so I can put the shunt. And you can see the shunt right below that bar. So that shunt feeds that little bus bar, and then that powers all my DC stuff on the backside of that bus, so that I can kind of get a measurement of how much DC power it is. I hope that was the one you were talking about, John. I got me a really nice charge controller, 500 volt input, and they're only $250. 500, yeah, that's actually not very bad, not bad at all. 500 volts. How many amps does it support? And I'm sure at 500 volts, it's probably a good 100 ampere at least. Charge controller I bought. I went to get some monitor. I get Victron, but I am not a fan of their stuff. Not a fan of Victron. Not one of them blue guys, huh? There's a lot of blue guys out there these days. You have to fight with the blue guys. So, John, I'm not a well, I can't say I'm not blue because I don't bleed blue like some people do. But I think that all equipment users have all equipment has a good purpose to it. And some of the things that Victron build, I just haven't seen comparisons to them that even come close to the ones that that they make. Like I love their really small chargers for 12 volts and 24 volts. Those are really, really good. That JK, that's nice. Yeah, the JK BMS is, I bought two actually. I bought one of the other ones, and I was, after reading all the reviews and everything and playing with it, and you can see a picture there of my mini split. Those are 12K mini splits. There's one there, and there's also one in the bedroom. So, but I bought the JK after I had already bought the other one. I bought one of those little cheap, $20, $30 ones from China, and I waited, probably 2 months for it to get here. In the meantime, the JK one showed up right away, and I think it's called a Shot. I guess I could use a Victron, but I'm not a fan of their stuff. I think it's called a Shot. You think what is called a Shot? I missed that. I must be missing something. Oh, are you talking about the inverter called a Shot? So, but 100 amp. Oh yes, 100 amp. That doesn't surprise me. There's quite a delay between me broadcasting here and you doing it. Sorry for the slow response, but yeah, I kind of figured it had to be 100 amps if it's supporting 500 volts. The Shot. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Is that one? No, we're not a fan of Victron either, but because they don't give you the codes to get the data. I haven't had any problems with codes to get my data. Basically, well, but I link all mine in and pull all my data into my Home Assistant. Yeah, I know, PJ. You're going to ask me how I do that. That was at Victron. That Venus device that I had before. I do it that way because that I can link directly into my all of my Victron stuff and then pull that into Home Assistant and link that to get my measurements for power and all that kind of stuff out of there. The inverter's got a Torrid transformer. I'm not sure what a Torrid transformer is. All right. What else you guys got? You can see there I'm showing you the mounting of the mini split that I did on the RV out back. I basically welded that to this back bumper. It had that platform already there that folded up, and I just basically took some angle iron and built myself a platform to set it on. The mini split only weighs about 35 pounds. This one here, though, is the one that's for the master bedroom, is mounted right in one of the bays. And I don't know if I'm going to show it in this video, but I basically put some vents in the side door. And yes, there's the vents. You can see them. And so I put these vents in the side door that allow the air to escape when I'm going down the highway. I can still cool things. Now, 9 times out of 10, if I'm parked or something, I'll either prop it open or I will just leave the whole bay door open because it even with all of those vents, the air restriction is more than I would prefer to have. And there's the mini split mounted in the master bedroom. And I did the same patch back here. I basically just took the hole completely off, patched it top and bottom, covered the top with lap seal, and basically painted these a nice white so they just blend in, caulked them all in, and you'd never even know they were there. The bedroom, you can see the mini split power usage there. I mean, at night when I turn it on to go to bed, it comes up to about 1,000, but during the day, it barely, 200-300 watts of power is pulled off there. 61 degrees Fahrenheit at night. For all of you that are in overseas, sorry about the conversions. I'm not familiar enough with Celsius to give you an idea of what that means in Celsius, so probably could look it up, but I'm sure one of you could post what that is. I did something with my mini split who is tricky, but I got it done. I put the lines in the inside wall and went through the under basement. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So mine in the bedroom go behind the wall there and then down into that little compartment that runs around for the washer and dryer connections. And then so I just hid them there, and then it runs down into the bay, and directly into the bay runs right into the air conditioner. Oh, look at that. There's the solar panels mounted on the roof. That skylight still needs to be replaced. That is the most ugliest patch I think I've ever seen. But you can see there, those original 8 that were up there. Let's see if that probably needs to be rewound a little bit so I can do that again. That was a nice thing. So those original 8 up there, you can see here is 2, 4, 6, and then there's 2 more on the front. And you see that one going crossways there. That was the 9th one. And over here, then there's one mounted that on that angle across the front, and that was the 10th one. That was when I decided 8 ain't gonna cut it. It ain't enough power, and I switched it and went to 10. So it was good there. Let's see. Let me just let this play out some more here. Put it off the bad radio frequency. I did something with my mini splits. It's tricky. We have how many split? We have how many split? I have 2 mini splits that I've done. I did one, like I said, I did one on that back bumper, installed that one there, and then on the one on the front bumper, I basically, not front bumper, what am I talking about? The one in the front bay, it's actually in the bay, and it basically is directly under the bedroom. So I ran that down through the closet and back into those back walls, and then down into the wall behind everything, behind the dresser, and down into the bay. It dropped right down in front of it. It was really nice. Did I have to drill holes in the camper for the solar panels? Absolutely, I did. And keep in mind, I bought the RV, when I went shopping, we had located a brand new RV, and we were at the actual table to sign the paperwork. And me and my wife, we looked at each other, and I said, why don't we decided that we were just going to wait till the morning. We would come back in the morning and sign the paperwork for the brand new RV. And it was, $100,000 and everything. And while I was there, and we did that, we went home, and I said, why don't we just look out on the internet and let's take a look at all the used ones. Let's see if we can find something there. And we ran into this RV for $20,000. And I told my wife, I said, are you nuts? Is that really $20,000? That's an $80,000. We can fix a lot of broken stuff for $80,000. So we immediately scheduled an appointment to go out and take a look at it. We drove probably about 90 miles north the next day. It was this, and I basically, we drove there, we took there, I told him to get it all set up because I'm not buying this sight unseen, I want to look through it. I got into it and I started taking all of the, turning everything on. I had made sure he had power and gas to it so I could check it. I checked the stove, I checked the ovens, I checked everything. Now, there was some damage. You know, some things like I noticed that the shower pan was a little spongy and stuff like that. But there wasn't $80,000 worth of damage. There wasn't $80,000 worth of, there wasn't $5,000 worth of damage. So immediately I just went ahead and we bought it that day, got the financing, and I think we picked it up the next week. And because of that, this takes me back, sorry, I got sidetracked there. Because of that, I took the panels and I did, in fact, mount them directly to the roof. I did not take the time to, I'm going to see if I can get you a view here.
Panels, like and subscribe to the video.
I did not take
We'll see
the
you.
time, as you can see here, and I don't mean time, I did not attempt to, and I don't think there's a really good view. There's one there. So you can see there, I took the mounting brackets, the what are those things called? L brackets, and I mounted them directly to the solar panel, and then I screwed them directly into the frame going across the top of the RV. And so I was very fortunate in this RV. Not only did it have an aluminum frame up there, but it had good, thick half-inch plywood all the way across the top. So it was very stable and it was very strong. So I sunk those screws into them directly. I lap sealed under them. I lap sealed over them. And I've been driving around now for about a year and easily can get up to, you know, 60, 70 miles an hour in the RV and haven't had any of them. I've been up there multiple times to inspect them to make sure that there's no problems with them. But yeah, I did drill holes. I didn't drill any holes. I screwed, I did not use the self-setting screws. I used direct wood screws of 1.5 inches thick. Nice right on top of it. I lap sealed underneath it. I placed it down. I screwed them in, and then I lap sealed over the top, and then I came back and put another set of lap seal on it after that was done. I've had 0 leaks from that. The one place I have had some leaks from is on the back air conditioning unit where I put those wood frames in.
The panels, like and subscribe to the video. We'll see you next
solar
time.
panels on the roof, and I think you could probably actually, you might be able to see it from here. Right there's the front one, right in the middle of the screen, right between those 2 solar panels. You see that blob of lap seal. That's actually a piece of wood that's about 2 foot by 2 foot, or actually it's probably about 18 inches. It's the size of an air conditioner, a standard RV air conditioner, and I smushed them between with lag bolts going from the top straight down to the bottom and screwed on the bottom, and you saw them painted on the inside. And that basically allowed me to, that being smushed like that in there allowed me to compress it a little bit and then lap seal the entire top and paint the bottom to where the bottom just kind of fades in when you're in there. If I had a chance to do it over, I wouldn't change the fact that I screwed the solar panels in. I did it intentionally. I knew it was permanent. I knew I wasn't going to be moving them. The RV was already 5 years old. I got a wonderful deal on it, so I can't really complain about that. But but I would redo the patches on the roof and not use wood. I would find some kind of aluminum or steel plate to put on the top piece at least, so that it would be good and sturdy and I wouldn't have any problems. Because I did have one spot where there was a small smidget of a leak, and of course that caused damage to the wood. Then the wood splits, and then you got to go up and got to relap seal it again, and it doesn't look near as well. So that's one thing I would redo. But other than that, I am very, very pleased with the way it turned out.
There you go. There's the panels. Like and subscribe to the video. We'll see you next time.
Did you have drill holes in your thing? Yes, it did.
All right, so I went back one more time and got you a little bit more footage of the whole system from a distance. Make sure you like and subscribe the videos.
It really actually looks a little bit tighter than it
encourages
is,
me to
and
create
I'm going to
more.
freeze frame this here. It just so happened to be coming across the screen. The keep in mind these inverters behind that bar is probably there's about an inch or two clearance between it and the 6000 XP. So you're talking about there is a depth there. This is a full-size fifth wheel bay, front bay. So I probably wouldn't have mounted this a whole lot different if it was in a house or on a wall in a house or something like that. Short of the wires would probably be a little cleaner. There are some, not being able to hide the wires behind a panel is kind of frustrating. I might at some point put in a double row of plywood, so you can have a plywood and then you have a hidden row and then another sheet of plywood that's built out, so you got kind of like the sheetrock type style, so I can make all the wires look nice and clean. But but that would be about it. Yeah. So the compartment is a little bit tight if you do it, but to be honest with you, I've got a nice what do you call it, ice chest sitting right in front of it here, and you've probably seen it on a couple of my videos, and I just use that as a seat to just lean right over and build everything there. So it works pretty well just like that.
And it helps the channel grow so that more people can share in this fun solar adventure that we're all having. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate you all. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.
Racks in place. Yeah, there is. I do that on the. I did do that with the solar, the trailer, the food trailer, and we'll be talking about the food trailer next week, and that one you'll be able to see those rails. I did put those rails in, and then bolt it down, bolt the solar panels onto the rails, and the biggest purpose for doing it there was that I knew that the likelihood of those panels being permanent was not real good. So I basically made sure that I had it. I made sure that I had it ready to.
Just finished
what am I trying to say here?
A new DIY
I made
battery,
sure that I could get those panels off and put other panels on and not damage the roof too much, because the coffee trailer did need that ability. In the case of the RV, I had no qualms about putting them up there permanently because I had no intentions of ever taking them off.
50 amp plug for
looks like nice panels. What brand are they? Those are the ones that you've seen out there. They're called
charge inverters down here, and I also have a plug for it to run off of a 20 amp or 15 amp 110 plug. So I can plug all that in and run that.
Let me see if I can look them up.
That comes in through a relay switch here. If I'm running it off of the charge inverter, so that it runs at a reduced rate or off of 110 voltage. And
they were basically
6,000
Aptos, APTOS, and they sell a wide variety of 370 watts.
Here that turns that power on coming in.
The 400 watts, 420 watts, and a lot of other
basically just kicks on whenever
ones.
Gets the right voltage.
But those I had got some feedback on performance, and the performance on them is just fantastic. I mean, there are days, this is the craziest thing, mounted those panels directly on the roof of a white roof, keep in mind, of an RV, and there's only about, this much room. You saw where they were mounted. There's only a tiny bit of, there's only about, this much room between the panel. But I believe that some of that light leaks through those panels and hits that white surface and bounces back up, because there are many days where I get well into the 4,000 watts coming out of off of the roof. Now I have to have good sunlight. It has to be very bright outside. It has to be the perfect conditions. But they're only 3,700 watts worth of panels, and I'm getting 4,000 watts out of them. So it has to be the bifacial is the only thing that makes sense. And because they're not mounted, typically you'd mount them up off the ground. You'd put white rocks or concrete or something behind them in order to get the bifacial effects. I'm seeing them on a white roof on an RV. So it does happen. See what else we got going on here. Trade fifth wheel, any money in the air conditioners I traded them for. Yes, I did, to be honest with you. When I took the air conditioners off, I sold the air conditioners for about $500 a piece, which was more than I paid for the mini splits. Don't ask me why. I did end up trading one of them for some tree work, but I got a couple $1,000s worth of tree work, or at least in my mind it was a couple $1,000s worth of tree work. So it was still a fantastic deal either way. But yeah, so I got the tree work done. I got the air conditioners off the roof. I patched them, and I put the mini splits in, and I'm all the more happier with the mini splits. I can actually sit and watch TV in the middle of the day with it 99 degrees outside and 87% humidity, and be perfectly comfortable and still hear the TV. Those air conditioners that were in there, the factory air conditioners on RVs are just crap. I'm very surprised that some company hasn't come out with some really good ones yet and fixed that problem. Put the variation of a mini split right there in the roof. Well, let's see what we got here. My glow light frequently inverter with things is heavy. My grow light low frequency inverter. What thing is heavy? Yeah, the inverter, the 6000 XP is not too heavy. It wasn't too bad. I got it mounted by myself. But yeah, you can definitely see that. I can see that if you get those low frequency ones, and they're gonna be weighing some. I mean, you got those giant ass coils wrapped up in there, and so, but they handle the surge. So what can you say? I mean, that's what you want, right? All right, guys. Are there any other questions? And let's see if we can wrap this up. I didn't realize it had already gone on from Grow Watts. Yeah, the Grow Watts, they seem to make a good one. Hopefully either Grow Watt or EG4 or somebody will donate a 12,000 or 12 kilowatt inverter to me for the solar shed. Maybe we can build a solar shed. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, the XP is very heavy. Not the 12. It's not the 1200 XP at least, though. It's only the 600 XP. It's not near as heavy as the other one. And I hope everybody has had a good time. If you haven't already, please make sure you like it. I'm going to send everything to replay, and I really want to make sure that I did this once in celebration for completing our first one. I'm going to set off all the fireworks, and we're going to say we have completed our first one. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. And I hope that you got something from this, and hope that I'll see you again next week. And I'm going to wait for this thing to wrap it up before I say end stream. I learned that if I do it too early, it just cuts everything off and kills everybody. So thank you guys, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, John, for coming. Thanks, PJ. Thanks, everyone else. I don't know. I didn't see all the other names that scrolled by, but I really appreciate it. You guys have a good night, and thanks for coming.